All right, how's everyone doing? Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So, what I want to get into today is people becoming very emotional when purchasing things. And I actually didn't even come up with this. I was actually doing another podcast with my co host, Robert Beninati. And we do a lot of podcasts together. And I brought up shopper's remorse because he likes to buy things. I like to buy things. But we really, as we age, learned how to kind of get control of our spending and really just truly purchase what we want and also think about what we're purchasing as far as what we want to maintain. And he said something in the middle of that podcast, and he said, I forgot how he worded it exactly, but it was when people were purchasing things, they get emotional. And I never thought about it from that perspective. Of course, I know people get excited when you're going to buy something. You know what I mean? Something like that. But I never really thought about, really how emotional people can get when, not only when purchasing something they want, but maybe also getting conned into purchasing something. And having the emotion of feeling, maybe a lot of different things. One is feeling like you're going to miss out if you don't purchase it, or maybe if you're purchasing something and you feel like somebody else's, it may not be for sale anymore, or they may run out of them, or even just when shopping in general, you just kind of get caught up in the moment. And I think this can definitely relate to a lot of people. I never purchased timeshare, but it's very popular where I live in Orlando, Florida, and I think people go there most of the time without the intent in purchasing, just getting free tickets to some of the parks. Because if you go on a tour a lot of times at a timeshare, they will give you tickets for you and your family a lot of times to get in the park for free or a discounted rate. And you go in there and you kind of, you may or may not be able to find timeshare. You may or may not even be interested. But my point being is by the end of the tour, a lot of people get very emotional and end up purchasing something like this. Now, I'm not pro timeshare. I'm not anti-timeshare either. I mean, to each its own. I just don't see the benefit of it. But then again, I live in Orlando, Florida, and I do know a lot of people that own timeshares that are very happy with them. I also know a lot of people that own timeshares that are very unhappy with them, and also unhappy that they can't sell them necessarily a lot of times, or they have to keep up with all the dues or fees per month or year or whatever type of deal they worked out with. Now, I'm just using that for an example. But I think this happens when shopping for many different things. You start to purchase things again, going off your emotions. And I think, too, when spending a lot of times money, you go off the emotion where right now you want something, even though you may not be able to afford it, but you think down the line you'll have a better job, or you're getting a certain maybe type of, you'll get a certain amount of money in the future, you'll be able to pay down your debt, all these different types of things. These are where I think, again, all the emotional roller coasters, because after a lot of people purchase things, I think, and they get their credit card, or they find themselves in a lot of debt, now what type of emotional state are they in? Now they're kind of crashing, or they're depressed, especially if they can't return some of these items. Or say you purchase items, it could be big ticket items. I don't know if it's a boat. I don't know if it's a certain car. And you get very emotional. I'm sure when you maybe went to go purchase a car and you didn't expect to maybe spend a certain amount of money, and you ended up spending a lot more. And then you can't keep up with the payments. And then you find out when you go to maybe you're interested in getting rid of the car, or you want to trade it in and it's worth so much more less. And then that emotional blanket of just, and I think we've all been there. We've all been in situations, I think, when we've purchased things and then we, overvalue them. And we think in the future they're going to be maybe worth a lot more money. Or on the other hand, you'll purchase it and maybe just lose a little money. It won't be that big of a deal. But then the hammer comes down and you realize, oh my God, I paid way too much for this. Or I brought a piece of shit, whatever it is, right? Again, these emotional roller coasters. And I just want people to be aware of this happening. A lot of times what I bring up on my podcast is truly, wanting people to be self-aware of their behavior, because you can, stop yourself from being in a lot of bad situations if you just become a little self-aware of your decisions and not, again, getting caught up in your emotions, especially when it comes to buying things. Because I think one of the things that destroy a lot of people throughout their life is overspending. Now, if you're a millionaire and you got money, go do whatever you got to do. But a lot of people, I do think when you come into money, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to always have the money. And also, no, and I've been there where you get a lot of money and then you find yourself in debt simultaneously, right? In debt a lot of money as well. And again, it's a lot of times it's just buying. It could be, again, I'm kind of talking shopping to a certain degree. But when you start thinking about big ticket items like homes, things in that nature, be very aware, because I know at the beginning it can be super exciting, really exciting, especially if you're going to be buying your first home, or sometimes even buying a second home, or buying whatever the hell you're buying, townhome, condo, property. So many people, especially in Florida, I used to know that used to come and buy property thinking, oh, it's going to always appreciate, which sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but super duper excited when buying actually a lot of things in Florida. And then as time goes on, just finding themselves like with this dead piece of land that they're just trying to unload, because after a certain amount of time they thought it was going to appreciate, or they don't want the monthly payment, or all of a sudden something happens and it could be, taxes, or I don't know what the hell is happening, or that area flooding, hurricanes, then all these different types of things come into play that you didn't expect. But I don't want to get long-winded, but please pay attention to your emotions when purchasing things, all right? And selling things too, which I think I'm going to do maybe another podcast on that separately. All right, take care, and I wish you nothing but the best.